Hello everybody, Mr. Fitz here, and we're talking about line number 113 and the way awesome rhythm pattern of the dotted quarter note followed by the eighth note. Woohoo! Alright, now this is an extremely important rhythm to learn and to know how to correctly play while tapping your foot. Okay, so line number 113, I'm going to demonstrate this using the baritone horn, but this is applicable to all of the instruments, and it is a super important rhythm to get straight. Okay, so if you look up at the top of the page, it explains that the dotted quarter note follows the rule of the dot, which we had learned earlier with the dotted half note, in that when you dot a note, it makes it longer by half of itself. Let me find this thing. Here we go. So here's the thing about the dotted quarter note. This is the baritone horn book, right? So you can see it says dotted quarter note, and then read right here, a dot after a note adds half the value of the note. A quarter note is 1 plus, when you dot it, half of 1, which is a half. So 1 plus a half is 1 1/2. And you say to yourself, well, okay, how do I do that? Well, we're going to get to that. The other note that we need to know about is the single eighth note. Now, eighth notes are often found in pairs, like what you see here, but they are in fact two separate notes. These two notes, T, T, like those first two notes there, those are separate notes. They could each be written like this, okay? In this case, it would be this one with the stem down, okay? So they just happen to beam them together. Sometimes they even beam 4 of them together, okay? Just, you've probably seen that in your music. But when you get to a single eighth note, all by itself, that's what it looks like. Or it could look this way if the stem goes up, all right? Now, so the way to go about, oh, and I'm sorry, and then a single eighth note is telling you a single eighth note is half as long as a quarter note, which means it's a half a count, okay? So, and I think you probably knew that already. So what you want to do first, guys, to break this down, is to make sure that you can play, or first of all, say the first measure like this. T, 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 T. And you notice I made this a little higher looking. There's no music staff here, but no matter what instrument you have, the way it's set up, it goes T, 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 all on the same note, and on the fourth note, T, it goes up. All right? Now, the key thing with all this is we have to tap our feet. You know how I always bug you about tapping your feet, right? So what you do, oops, this is going to be the motion of your foot. That's your foot tapping. You probably can hear my foot tap, but watch. T, 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 T. And I'm going to do the old foot cam thing. All right, there's my foot. Here I go. T, 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 T. Watch again. T, 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 T. So the first thing you want to do when you're learning to play line 113 is play that first measure and tap your foot like what I just did. All right. So I will now demonstrate on my baritonium. All right, I made that up. It's really a baritone horn. All right, so here I go. Hopefully I won't mess up. Just the first measure. And actually, let me get this so you can see my fingers moving, because I am changing notes on that last note. All right, here I go. I think I'm doing the correct notes for this. Let me make sure I'm doing the correct notes. Oh, I'm doing the wrong notes. Hang on. There I go. So it's F and G for the baritone horn. Sorry about that little mix-up. So watch the foot cam again. This is important. Again, the key thing, you want to make sure your foot can do this. So my foot goes down, up, T, 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 T. Super duper important. All right? Now, then what happens, the second measure, if you look at it, should be exactly the same as the first. So I'm not going to do that right now. But what I want to show you is the third measure. And the third measure, they tie them together. All right? I don't know if I made the ties the right direction for stems going that way. But so now you get T, T. These all become one note because of the tie, the curved line. T, T. So notice again, down, up, but you're holding, this is all one sound now because of the tie, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So now I'll show you that on the baritone So here I go. Now I'm going to show you the foot cam. This is the key thing. Notice what my foot does while I play it. Once again. So I'm thinking T, T. All right? Hopefully that makes sense to you. Now remember what we said earlier when we were looking at the top of the page. An eighth note is half a beat long. And if you add a half and a half and a half, you get 1.5. All right? So this is where they're heading with this. What they do next is they take those first two eighth notes and make them into a quarter note. But this means exactly the same thing. All right? So here we have ta, ti. So you notice down, up for the quarter note, down for the eighth note, ta, ti, and that's kind of important, all right? So I hope I showed you this before. I think I held this up, but maybe I was thinking I was holding it up. That's the ti, all right? So now we've got ta, ti, and it still sounds exactly the same, okay? And the key thing is my foot goes down, up, down on that dotted quarter note. And then on the eighth note at the end, my foot comes up in the air. Okay, my foot is always staying the same speed. Finally, after that measure, they give you the actual dotted quarter eighth note, which is what we started out with. Except, here's the foot action on it. And what I did was I moved the dot a little bit more to the right so you could kind of visually see how this works. 1 beat for the quarter note, a half a beat for the dot, and then the upbeat is the single eighth note. Ta, ti. So what I always like to tell students to say is this. Ta for this, ah for the downbeat, and ti for the upbeat. Watch. Ta, ti. All right, so I'm going to play that for you on my baritonium. Oopsies. Yikes, I'm having trouble. So let me try it again. All right, so let me show you again with the foot cam on that. It's the same thing what I've been doing before, but I'm just looking at the dotted quarter eighth. All right, so now what we do is we put the whole thing together. All right, so I'm going to play all of line number 113 for you. Here we go. And I'll repeat it too. 1, 2, ready, go. Ta-da! All right, so that's your dotted quarter eighth note. Now I know this tutorial got a little bit long, but hopefully it will help you. All right, so have fun with line number 113, the dotted quarter eighth note. Bye.